Hi everybody, welcome back to my Change channel. I'm Yulia Kosarenko. I lead the Mindset Mentorship Circle. I provide corporate and individual training, and I love to speak about business analysis and business analytics. Today I want to address one more business analysis related question that recently came up in our mentorship circle. We were discussing requirements validation and different methods of validating requirements as you go, and at the end, what works, what doesn't work. And this question came up, and I felt that probably many of you can relate to it or have experienced something like that at one time or another. The situation is that what do you do if you as a business analyst are not consulted when a development team or technical person has questions related to requirements? You are a business analyst, you're assigned to this project, yet if a developer, if they are unclear, go over your head and ask, for example, business stakeholders directly, and you're left out of the loop. I don't know if that ever happened to you. It can be pretty frustrating. It may be upsetting, as if your thoughts are not important or your role is not considered or even disregarded. Why does it happen? Because if a technical team comes back to you when they are clear about requirements, you have a chance to rectify, you have a chance to explain, you can try to understand where the confusion comes from. Maybe it's the way you articulate it. Maybe there is indeed a gap in requirements. Maybe the development team's interpretation is different from what you intended. So there is more than one explanation of why there would be a question. So if you have a chance to address it, you can do your job. But what if you don't have a chance to address it because you are not even invited to participate in this clarification or discussion? So why don't we first look at a few reasons why it might happen, and then we can chat about what can you do to change it. So some of the reasons could be sometimes there is a little bit of a culture in a company that assumes that a business analyst is done when the requirements are signed off, and they sometimes are even completely reassigned to another project. That is something that needs to be addressed in the company, because a business analyst needs to be part of the solution. By the way, I'll link one of my videos about the mindset principle number 10, where we talk about being part of the solution and staying with the design and development and testing phases as a business analyst to consult, to verify, to validate, to modify requirements, to bring in more clarity, and even yourself to understand how the solution is being developed and to support adoption. The other reason is that, some business analysts are not necessarily as interested in development and design. So maybe they don't project that, openness to receiving questions. Sometimes business analysts even take those questions personally, as if their job is, or the work they have done is questioned. Why are you asking me questions? It was signed off. Just go ahead and do it. So sometimes there's a little bit of a bad attitude from a business analyst. Hopefully you don't do it. I did encounter it a few times, and in that case, nobody would want to consult them, right? Because if you don't want to get into it, if you get all defensive about questions, then you're not really a good person to figure it out and investigate it with. So hopefully you are interested in design and development. And again, not necessarily that exactly what was signed off is developed, but what makes sense, right? Because sometimes we make mistakes as analysts, and stakeholders make mistakes, and there's other things that fall through the cracks. There was a little bit of a diversion, and we forgot to clarify this part, and it ended up a little bit underdeveloped. Things happen. We are all human. So if we are interested in developing what makes sense in the end and delivering that to the business, we should be open to questioning. So again, you as business analysts have to be open to revisiting requirements, because it may be that requirement we wrote and documented, or that user story is no longer valid, doesn't make sense anymore, was invalidated by other user stories, or something else has changed. So that is on you as a business analyst to be open to it. Some other reasons. Um, Ability to maintain those business connections, right? Because when those requirement clarifications come in, often you have to go back to business. So sometimes there is a question, who has a better relationship with business stakeholders? And this is where sometimes there is a difference between full-time business analysts and consultants or contractors. If you are a full-time business analyst, often you have that opportunity to build up your relationships, to make friends with your stakeholders. They start to trust you. They know you. Perhaps they work with you on previous projects. You already have a reputation, a thorough analytical person that will listen, that will address, that will be reasonable. So if you have a chance to build up that reputation, both with the development team and with the business teams, again, you're more likely to get involved and consulted and have a say in that. If you are full time and whenever you have an opportunity, please build those relationships, maintain those connections, and do your job well, because that again, that helps to build your reputation. And then, you are invited in case of a challenge or in case of, a problem that needs to be solved with the requirements or with the project down the road. It's a little bit hard, of course, for consultants or for contractors that may be coming for a short period of time, and neither our development team nor business team knows them well. And sometimes the developers have worked with the business stakeholders for years. They have a good relationship. So the developer kind of just goes and asks, oh, well, let's chat. And they go completely around you. In these cases, ideally, from the beginning of your engagement, you want to have this roles and responsibilities established. And of course, a lot of it is on your project manager or scrum master or whoever is in charge of the project. Ideally, during the kickoff, the project kickoff, this race is established and communicated to everyone. And part of that race should be how questions on requirements, how different challenges or problems during development happen. And ideally, you want to make sure that business analyst role is mentioned there as a conduit, as a liaison between technical questions and business stakeholders, because questions can come both ways, right? There's a technical question that there's something is a challenge and you need to explain to business why it cannot work that way, or that a technical team maybe doesn't understand what was meant by requirement, and then business people need to explain in more detail or more clearly how they need this to be done, how this is done from operations perspective, business rules perspective, etc. Okay? Of course, it also depends on the methodology in the organization. Are you in more of a waterfall approach still, which sometimes still is needed, or and that's the reality, or you are more agile? If you are working on an agile team on using Scrum methodology, hopefully you do have those regular meetups and daily meetings where you call out if there is a problem and then business analyst gets involved, or you have regular three amigos meetings where, say, a business analyst, a tester, and a developer discuss any challenges, any questions, and if necessary, they involve product owner or go back to stakeholders. So again, having that close relationship with the implementation and development teams allows you to be in the loop and allows you to know what's going on, to understand. The other part of it also is your technical acumen, okay? The more you understand the actual process of design development and testing and how data needs to be migrated and what is data integration and how APIs work and whatever are those technical nuances of this solution, the better you understand and the more comfortable you are, the easier it is for you to stay in the loop with the development design and address it and make sure that the understanding of requirements is still there, and again, to be part of the resolution of any questions. Because sometimes when people are in a rush, they say, oh, I don't want to explain it, spend half a day explaining to them what I mean, I'm just going to go right to the source. So you don't want to be that person that is so hard to explain things to, right? You want to try and be as sharp as possible with both your business domain knowledge and your technical knowledge, especially understanding the architecture in your organization, the technical components, the platforms and technologies that are part of your technical landscape. okay? Because that helps you to be knowledgeable, that helps you to be someone to rely upon when these questions come up. So these are just a few potential reasons and a few potential strategies for you to make sure that you are consulted and kept in the loop and you are involved in resolving any questions related to requirements, clarifications, or potential, requirements gaps that may be found during design, development, even testing. Let me know what are your strategies. Let me know what scenarios you have encountered, and hopefully that gives you some ideas of how to handle it if you happen to be in that situation yourself. And again, come back to Whitechange channel to grow your business analysis competencies, to learn VA tools and techniques, to get that experience from others and hear how they are doing it. Subscribe to VA Mindset Library, where I have collected so many recordings from our group mentorship meetups, where you can actually reach to that collective wisdom of business analysis community. All the best, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.